Welcome to Robin's Cruise Show. I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend. So, what's the difference between cruising on a big ship and a small ship? That and more in today's episode of Robin's Cruise Show. So, as the cruise industry has expanded and the various fleets across the world have got bigger, we've also noticed that in terms of actual ship size, they're getting bigger too. So, you've got the ships like the Virtuosa, which is going to be sailing from Southampton. You've got the biggest ship in the world, the Symphony of the Seas. You've got the brand new build from Carnival, being the Carnival Mardi Gras. All amazing ships, but all also very, very large. When you think about it, Symphony of the Seas can hold 5,500 people at any one time. So what is the fundamental difference between cruising on a big ship and cruising on a small ship? This is something I'm sure that many people have thought about when it's come to booking their first cruise or booking another cruise. Whether it is that you look at the itinerary or whether you look at the actual ship itself. I know that many people do make their decisions based on this. So the decision to book a cruise based on the actual ship, generally speaking, can be determined by a few different factors. Some people want a massive ship with all the bells and whistles, so something like Harmony, Symphony, Oasis, Allure, some of the biggest ships in the world. When you've got massive water slides, a zip line, a rock climbing wall. In the case of Harmony and Symphony, you've got the biggest slide at sea. There's an aqua theatre. These are all big things that people do look for because a lot of people think about the ship as actually being a destination in itself. Believe me, I've thought the same thing. I've actually looked at booking cruises on the Allure or the Oasis or all bigger ships or other ships even, like the Quantum class with Royal Caribbean or the Apex or the Edge with Celebrity. You're seeing so many different ships now with so many different amenities. We've seen that there are ships out there which have got a roller coaster on board them. You've also seen Dodgem cars. You've even seen a go-kart track at sea. Who knows what's next, really? But ultimately, I do think that the size of ship can be very dependent on what you're actually looking for. When you think about it, you've got cruise lines like Azamara Cruises, Seabourn, Silversea, all of whom are very destination orientated. For example, like Azamara, their ships themselves only hold 680 people. Now these are fantastic because they can actually do more unique itineraries, go into the ports of call that the bigger ships can't necessarily get into. But you also see, generally speaking, that they'll actually have longer ports of call. Typically, this is a bit of a generalization, but you see with some of the more expensive cruise lines, shall we say, or some of the more unique cruise lines, they'll dock up somewhere and commonly spend 2-3 days there. But that's because some cruise lines are more destination orientated. It's not taking away from the cruise ship itself, it's just more that's what they do. But you also find that there are different kind of styles of cruising that go along with these different cruise lines. Azamara is more kind of like a country club at sea. Similarly, Seabourn, Silversea, both 6-star cruise lines, but again, very much more relaxed, quite informal, more kind of a country club feel. You've got cruise lines like Crystal Cruises, one of the most expensive cruise lines in the world actually. Well, no, actually, you've got the super yachts now, so they actually trump that, I dare say. But it's a whole thing of, as a guest on board, you're paying a lot of money to be on board these ships because of the fact that they are a higher class, shall we say. For an example, Silversea. They are a 6-star cruise line, so you are paying the price for that. Or Crystal, same thing. But the guest experience is going to be very, very different. You're on a much smaller ship, you're going to have more unique itineraries, and you're going to have much more of a personal service from the crew. I'm not taking away from the big ships, not at all. You get equally as good a service, but it's more a thing of finding that balance between the destinations that you want to see versus the ship itself. The thing is, a lot of people, me included, do prefer the mid-sized ships. So ships like, for example, Vision of the Seas with Royal Caribbean or the Norwegian Jade, for an example. They hold about 2,500 people, which you're probably thinking, well, 2,500 people is still quite a lot. But it's not. You don't really feel it. I mean, that is a big worry actually for people. They look at some of these colossal ships and they think, oh God, 5,500 people? I'm not going to be able to move. But interestingly, all cruise ships are designed with a passenger flow in mind. So when you actually get on board, it might be that, yes, there are a lot of people, but in the same way, you don't really feel like they're there. So this is one of the things, and I mean, there has been a long-standing argument about this, kind of what's better, big or small? Should we go with a luxury cruise line? Should we go with a different cruise line? At the end of the day, ultimately, the decision is yours. You're the one buying the cruise. However, I would say that as a travel agent, we can give you some very good advice on which one to go for. There are also people who are set in their ways, and there are people who want to cruise with the premium cruise lines, or who have, for example, started with Royal Caribbean, moved to Celebrity, and then moved to Azamara because they want more of a unique club feel. But I think this is also to do with more of an age demographic as well. You will find that with some cruise lines the age demographic is slightly higher, but that is also to do with the fact that kind of younger couples, if they've got kids, they want to go on the more family-friendly cruise lines like Royal, Norwegian, MSC, etc., Disney cruise lines as well, obviously. And then as you get maybe a little bit older, you want to have a bit more luxury. But then you've also got the opposite end of the scale. You've got couples who don't have children who might want to pay a little bit more and have that more unique, luxurious experience. But then also want to have the in-between of not being on a massive ship, but then being on an in-betweeny ship. So with that, you're looking at more lines like Celebrity Cruises, Norwegian Cruise Lines, yeah, quite a few of them. At the end of the day, the cruise that you book should be a cruise because that's what you want to do, and it should be more about destinations than the ship. However, I would also add that actually if you're looking to do a transatlantic, which is something I've looked at a few times, is why not choose a massive ship? Why not go on an Oasis class ship? Why not go on an Edge class ship? Why not go on one of the large Norwegian ships like the Escape, the Joy, the Bliss? All of these ships will be brilliant for the longer transatlantic voyages because you're actually then turning the ship itself into a destination. And I kind of feel that's what transatlantics are more about. I mean, take the Queen Mary 2, for example. She is definitely a destination. And I know personally I'd be happy to sail across the Atlantic over to New York on her for 7 nights. My godmother actually did this voyage and she actually said there was loads going on. So I suppose that's also kind of linked to the fact that a lot of people think that if there are a lot of days at sea, then they're going to get bored on a ship. Again, not the case. There's always loads going on. I'm being quite general in what I say here because I don't really want to kind of give a definitive answer about specific ships or specific lines, mainly because I want to build on this and do videos about different cruise lines, about different ships, and more specifically what you will actually get from those ships and what itineraries they do. So guys, all I'll say is this, is thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe to the video, and this is Robin's Cruise Show, signing off.